All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great session with the presidential candidate of the fictional Common Sense People's Party. Now, the 8 years of Buhari's reign saw the reputation of this country drop drastically in the international community. But that was majorly because we were seen as unserious people, as an unserious nation that voted against a Jonathan who was fixing the economy in favor of a man who didn't know his left from right. That was purely an economic issue. But after the display of Professor Mahmood Yakubu during the 2023 presidential election, we showed ourselves to be a nation that had weak institutions full of con men. And when the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal and the Supreme Court upheld the decision of INEC, Nigeria officially announced itself to the world as a country where the law is a joke. Before the judgment, a lot of astute commentators weighed the impact of any miscarriage of justice on the reputation of this country, and they found it was immeasurable. So they began begging the judiciary to do the right thing. But we know the rest of the story now, and here we are. Now we are a laughing stock in the international community. In faraway Netherlands, Nigeria is the reference point when they talk about a lawless country, to the point that the CEO of Hague Institute of Innovative Law, Netherlands, told Nigerians to their faces during a seminar in Nigeria here how poor the respect for the rule of law has become in this country. But before I show you how he said it, let me quickly show you this pair of videos. This man came to the studio and said there was nothing wrong in senators and reps buying very expensive SUVs, very expensive cars. That's what they are doing is even part of the economy. But he got schooled by this renowned economist. First of all, listen to the man.
I spoke, I think it was about a month ago or thereabout. I said we can generate $500 billion through a means that already know. We must find alternative way to generate serious revenue. It's not whether they buy a car or don't buy a car. Those will not solve the problem. Cutting costs will not solve the problem, because the kind of costs they are talking about also is part of the economy. Because besides buying cars from Japan and all the rest of them, there are so many things that's part of the economy. I mean, when you pay salaries, it goes down to the trickle-down economy.
You heard him. He said it is not about the cars, that the cars are also part of the economy. This is the same mentality these politicians have that is making them milk this country dry. Now look at how renowned economist Paul Agbaje put this man and the TINUBU regime in their place. See him.
Well, I cannot agree with Mr. Wabara, a very good friend of mine, but he also understands the concept of economics. If you say that you don't want a house to be flooded, but you open a tap that makes room for flooding to happen, you cannot handle Nigerian issue only on revenue window. If you don't block leakages, one of which we don't need, I see no reason why every 4 years, and not just vehicles, even unnecessary expenditure that we see in the budget, not just for legislature, even for executive. So as much as you make revenue, which I alluded to, and there are several revenue windows which I've shared, not just for federal, even the state. I've mentioned that government can generate up to 30 trillion naira from several windows. I've had that conversation on this platform and so many other platforms around the country.
For the benefit of this conversation, it would be nice to hear what exactly those...
Okay, I give you an instance. In 2020, the National Bureau of Statistics revealed that two of the sectors that grew in leaps and bounds were banking sector and telco sector, which include telco infraco. The question is, of the revenues that these two sectors got from the analysis that came from the Bureau of Statistics, what percentage of revenue paid to government increased? It actually reduced for the two sectors. Recently, you saw what banks are declared that they have made. What percentage of this money is going to cover some government? And I'm talking of institutions, and there are so many of them, at least 25 different sectors like this in Nigeria that are not paying what should go to government and what should accurately go to government. In fact, one of the major drivers, one of the major players in telco is not in Nigeria, and they took wealth of Nigeria and took to another country. I don't want to mention the country in the Middle East. You know, based on research we have done, at least Nigeria should not get less than 600 billion naira from that organization. But what did we get? We have federal government that don't communicate properly with state, And when it comes to revenue that should go overall to government, there are no communication. These are strategy, these are part research-based findings that we have documentary evidence on how we can grow our revenue to the. But I must put a caveat. If you grow your revenue and your revenue base is so huge, but you have children who don't care about how money is made, they don't mind to drink any bottle of champagne, and you believe that it's also part of the economy, we will ask, who is producing the champagne? Is that economy? If you say that we should continue to give our money to Japan, who is getting the job? When you import, there are three decisions. It's important for our listener. Right. There are three decisions. You are telling your population, and this is what Mr. Wabara is saying, that Nigeria should remain unemployed. So long as we can give jobs to Japanese to continue to produce our cars, we have scene in the East that can produce the same car for us. If you think it's not safe, then why do you think it's safe for Nigeria to buy the vehicles? In America, they don't present other countries' vehicle. I am not saying you can't even spend your 168 million, but spend it on the economy. Let it create jobs, and let our foreign reserve not get depleted. You know what dollar to naira.
Thank you so much, Paul Agbaje. The president got a yacht for 5 billion naira. The same man budgeted 5.5 billion for students' loan. Now, I don't rate the student loan initiative, but the president bought a yacht for 5 billion for himself. And he budgeted 5.5 billion in the supplementary budget for the entire students in Nigeria. Does it mean that he alone is as important as all the students in Nigeria put together? Does it mean that his own life alone is equal to the life of all the students in this country put together? One man? What a shame. Now, let us look at how the CEO of Hague Institute described Nigeria. Look at how the papers reported it. Rule of law declining in Nigeria, says Hague Institute. The Hague Institute for Innovative Law on Thursday regretted that respect for the rule of law and justice was declining in Nigeria and other parts of the world at large. The chief executive officer of HIL, Sam Muller, disclosed this during the presentation of the 2023 report on justice needs and satisfaction in Nigeria. Muller said the situation, which was also captured by the World Justice Project's 2023 report, was depressing for people who wake up every day to build a nation where peace and justice should reign. He's referring here to our national anthem. To build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. That is what we declare, but it is far from it now. He said the situation is depressing, which means every Nigerian who is witnessing this firsthand now should be depressed by what we are experiencing in this country. And many people already are. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Look at some of the tweet reactions. This tweet here says, our president has dual citizenship, faked his certificate, didn't get 25% in the FCT as required by the constitution, was rigged into office and upheld by the judiciary. Rule of law is not just declining. Rule of law is dead in Nigeria. Oh! And this tweet by Olasupo Jake says, Nigeria judiciary is a disgrace. A very big disgrace, my brother. They just took the constitution and stood it on its head. And this tweet right here says, it is already gone. The federal government does not obey court orders. The governors, security services, it is now free for all. Very free. Look at what Yahya Bello did in Kogi State. Took INEC result sheets, wrote election results with Biro, wrote it himself, and then his candidate was declared. And nobody is talking. And this tweet here says, mind your language. Try this one. Rule of law absent in Nigeria. Yes. This lady is saying the man should not even say it's declining, that it is actually absent in Nigeria. And believe me, he used the word declining just to put it mildly so that he can present it in a respectful way to Nigerians. It is bad enough that this man stood in Nigeria and told us to our faces. That is to tell us that he is completely aware that rule of law has been eroded, totally abolished in this country. This is why people who say only protests and demonstrations can save or rescue Nigeria are the disciples of truth. So, Nigerians, if truly we desire genuine freedom, we must have to rise up and defend this land and rescue it from the few scavengers. The things that happened in this country, the events that took place in this country from February 25th to this very moment have left many Nigerians questioning even God and faith for putting them in this geographical location called Nigeria. So this man from Hague is completely right when he describes the situation as depressing. But the way forward is that Nigerians must stand up and take their country back. Anyway, make I leave am here. Make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Now I dey here. So don't go away. Don't go away.